Hello students, today's topic is glycine metabolism. So it is the simplest amino acid. It has no optical activity because it doesn't have any asymmetric carbon atom, and it is non-essential and it is glucosenic. So in the last class I have told you about the synthesis of glycine. In this class I will discuss about the utilization and the function of glycine. So some important compounds are formed by glycine. Number one is it forms a one carbon compound, which is methylene tetrahydrofolic acid. First, glycine is acted upon by one of the several enzymes of a multi-enzyme complex known as glycine cleavage system. So here the first enzyme of this multi-enzyme complex is glycine decarboxylase. So it releases the carbon dioxide, so it needs pyridoxal phosphate as coenzyme, and glycine is converted into amino methyl group. Now this amino methyl group, the amino group is released as ammonia, and the carbon group, the methyl group, is transferred to tetrahydrofolic acid, and tetrahydrofolic acid forms methylene tetrahydrofolic acid. This reaction is catalyzed by two different enzyme activities. Number one is methylene tetrahydrofolic acid synthase, and number two is amino methyl transferase. This enzyme consists of the coenzyme lipoamide, which is converted into reduced lipoamide or dihydrolipoamide, and this lipoamide is regenerated from reduced lipoamide by dihydrolipoamide dehydrogenase, and it requires the coenzyme NAD, which forms NADH. So this is the glycine cleavage system. This multi-enzyme complex have four enzyme activities: glycine decarboxylase, then methylene tetrahydrofolic acid synthase, amino methyl transferase, and dihydrolipid dehydrogenase. The reverse can also occur. So from carbon dioxide and ammonia and methylene tetrahydrofolic acid we can have glycine, but the name of the enzyme is glycine synthase complex, which consists of the same enzymes. Number two is synthesis of glucose. Since it is a glucosenic amino acid, it can synthesize glucose. I told you in the last class that glycine can be converted into serine by serine hydroxymethyl transferase. This is a reversible reaction. After formation of serine, there is an enzyme known as serine dehydratase, which acts on serine, and it first forms the amino acid, then there is deamination to form pyruvate. So it is a two-step process catalyzed by serine dehydratase. Now pyruvate is converted into glucose by gluconeogenesis. That is how glycine can form glucose. Next is formation of creatine phosphate and creatinine. So creatine is synthesized by 3 amino acids, glycine, arginine and methionine. First, glycine and arginine combines. The amino group of arginine is transferred to glycine to form guanidoacetic acid. Or guanidoacetate and ornithine. This guanidoacetate combines with S-adenosine methionine to form creatine, and S-adenosine methionine is converted into S-adenosyl homocysteine. So SAM donates the methyl group to guanidoacetate acid. So this is catalyzed by the enzyme methyl transferase. Then creatine undergoes phosphorylation to form creatine phosphate by the enzyme creatine kinase. This is reversible. We can have creatine from creatine phosphate by creatine kinase enzyme. ATP is the phosphate donor. So in our cells we can generate ATP from creatine phosphate by this reaction. So this reaction is known as Lohmann's reaction. Creatine phosphate undergoes spontaneous dehydration to form creatinine. Okay, so this is formation of creatine phosphate and creatinine. Next is heme synthesis. So I will not go into details of heme synthesis. The first step of heme synthesis starts with glycine and succinyl coenzyme A, which forms delta amino levulinic acid, and the enzyme catalyzing this reaction is known as ALA synthase, which is a key enzyme of heme synthesis pathway, and ultimately it forms heme. So this is another important compound produced from glycine. Number 5 is purine synthesis. Again, purine synthesis will be discussed in purine metabolism. Just you know that C4 of purine comes from the carboxyl carbon of glycine. Carboxyl carbon of glycine. C5 of purine comes from the alpha carbon of glycine, and N7 of purine comes from the amino nitrogen of glycine. Number 6 is glutathione, which is a tripeptide of glutamic acid, cysteine and glycine. First, glutamate is acted upon by the enzyme gamma glutamyl cysteine synthase. Gamma glutamyl cysteine synthase. So first there is intermediate phosphorylation to form gamma glutamyl phosphate, and the same enzyme will form gamma glutamyl cysteine Here the cysteine binds and the phosphate is released. So it is a two-step process. There is intermediate formation of gamma glutamyl phosphate. Now a similar enzyme, glutathione synthetase. So this is synthetase enzyme, not synthase. Glutathione synthetase, which is similar to this synthetase enzyme. First there is phosphorylation to form gamma glutamyl cysteine phosphate. Then glycine will join, inorganic phosphate will be released and glutathione is formed. So this is how glutathione is formed. So glutathione is important molecule. It has antioxidant property. Number 7 is conjugation. So glycine acts as a conjugating agent. So it helps in the conjugation of bile acids. Glycine and cholic acid joins to form glycocholic acid. And it combines with cannadeoxycholic acid to form glycocannadeoxycholic acid. Next is benzoic acid, which is a food preservative. So benzoic acid needs to be excreted in the urine. First it is conjugated with glycine and it forms hippuric acid and excreted in urine. So the reaction is, first thiokinase enzyme will act. Coenzyme A will join. There is also ATP. ATP is needed, which will be converted into AMP and inorganic pyrophosphate, and benzoic acid forms benzoyl coenzyme A. So there is thioesterification. Then benzoyl group of benzoyl coenzyme A is transferred to glycine to form hippuric acid. Coenzyme A is released, and this reaction is catalyzed by transferase enzyme, benzoyl transferase. So this hippuric acid can be excreted in the urine. Next is glycine acts as a neurotransmitter. It is present in brainstem and spinal cord, and it opens chloride specific channels. Number 9, it forms oxalate. So how it forms oxalate? First, glycine undergoes transamination with pyruvate. Pyruvate forms alanine and glycine forms glyoxylic acid. Glyoxylic acid. And this reaction is catalyzed by the aminotransferase alanine glyoxylic acid aminotransferase. And glyoxylic acid undergoes reduction by reductase enzyme, where NADPH is required as coenzyme. It forms glycolate first, and this glycolate is oxidized into oxalic acid. Okay, so these are the products which are specialized products which are formed from glycine. Next is the inborn error of metabolism of glycine. Number 1 is non-ketotic hyperglycemia, where there is increased production of glycine because of the deficiency of glycine cleavage system. There is increased glycine in blood, urine and CSF. It causes severe mental retardation and seizures, and there is no effective treatment. Number 2 is primary hyperoxaluria, where there is increased production of oxalate. So there is increased excretion of oxalate in urine, which causes renal stones. It can cause renal colic or renal pain and hematuria, that is blood in urine. So this is a protein targeting defect where the normal location of the enzyme alanine glyoxylate amino transferase is shifted from peroxisomes to mitochondria, so it becomes inactive. So from oxalate it forms glyoxylate, and from glyoxylate usually glycine is formed by transamination. But when this aminotransferase is deficient, then this glyoxylate cannot form glycine, so it forms oxalate. So there is increased concentration of oxalate. Treatment is increased water intake, and we have to avoid leafy vegetables, sesame seeds, tea, cocoa, beetroot, etc., which contains increased amount of oxalic acid. So this is about glycine metabolism. Thank you.